Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over a comparison between Linux Mint 17.1 and Ubuntu 14.04. I noticed on the internet throughout the years there hasn't really been that many comparisons or reviews between Linux distros or compared to other operating systems that are actually, you know, in depth and actually involve someone talking. They're either a short vid or some type of music video, but they don't actually have just in-depth reviews that actually go over it. So I figured I would try to be a part of the group that start that. So first we're going to start off with Ubuntu, which you'll see here on the left-hand side. It is developed by Canonical, which is a company based in South Africa, if you're not aware. It is currently the most downloaded Linux distro in the world, Linux Mint being second. However, as far as popularity goes, I'm not sure. Linux Mint might just beat Ubuntu in this case. So to start off, we'll talk about the hardware requirements. To run Ubuntu 14.04, you need a 1 gigahertz processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 3D acceleration with 256 megabits of video memory, and a 15 gigabyte hard drive. So if you're running a computer that was made in the past 5 or 6 or 7 years, you're probably good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then next to the features. As you see, this is the desktop right here. This is the graphical interface. This is what they call, if you're not aware, if you are new to Linux or you've never even technically used it or heard of it, it's called a desktop environment, which Ubuntu's is called Unity, and this is the Unity set. This is the Unity version 7, which is currently only used in Ubuntu, I believe, which pretty much involves this sidebar right here, and then you have your applications menu, which is this transparent sort of design that allows you to search in this bar up here or go through your apps. It can be complicated. Many people think it's complicated, but it can be very powerful if used to the right person. And then you have an applications menu up here, which is not in all Linux distros, which is a unified applications menu. So rather you're opening your files, your files application or your browser or your settings or whatever, they're all in this one unified menu, like in Apple's OS X and operating systems. So that's pretty much what Unity is. I mean, as far as the look goes, it's pretty much the design of it. Your colors and all that other stuff you can change or mod later, however you feel. Now on to the performance. Now Ubuntu is known for being a resource hog when it comes to Linux distributions. Now, does Ubuntu use up any more than Windows or OS X? Yosemite? No, no, it uses less actually, but out of the Linux distros, it requires a little bit more, and especially to run Unity. It can be an annoyance to run on older hardware for sure, but it's pretty solid. So under the hood, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of details, but I'll just provide that Ubuntu 14.04 off the bat comes with Linux version 3.16, so that's the 3.16 kernel, and it is upgradable to 3.19 if you want. It also comes with GTK 3.14, which is also upgradable to tested versions or testing versions if you want. And then, like I said, Unity 7, which Unity 8 is still under development and will hopefully be released this year, but who knows. So overall, this is Ubuntu. I would highly recommend you download it if you have a Linux distro and you've never tried it. I mean, if you run Linux, you've probably tried Ubuntu at some point, but if you haven't, and especially if you're a newcomer, then you definitely should try it. It's great. A lot of people may not like it, but as I'm open-minded and I love using all of the different flavors, which are what Linux calls their different distros and designs, flavors, with a U in that fancy. But yeah, so that's Ubuntu 14.04. Now I'm going to move on to Linux Mint. Now, Linux Mint is what you see right here, which if you use Windows, which most people in the world do, you'll notice it's a lot more similar. You have a bar down here at the bottom. You have your icons on the screen, and then you have a little menu right here in the corner, which is very similar to a start screen on Windows 7 or Windows XP or Vista. That is because, and this is the Cinnamon desktop, which is Linux Mint's own little environment design that they have compared to Unity. As far as the requirements go, to run Cinnamon, it's a little bit less. You just need a 700 megahertz processor. You only need 512 megabits of RAM, and you just need a 10 gig hard drive. And you don't need a graphics card with 3D acceleration. However, that would help. As far as the features go, Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu. So Ubuntu was based on an operating system called Debian. Debian is one of the original, pretty much the original and the most popular of the original operating systems that managed to survive, like Red Hat and all of that throughout the years. And it was the first operating system to actually give the users a graphical interface to actually interact with and do things with. Like Apple's Lisa did back in the 90s or the 80s. Well, I think it was the 80s. Yeah. It's yeah, it's pretty cool. And then as far as the software goes, Ubuntu itself comes with a decent amount of software to run the basic operating system, but if you actually want to do some more things, you would need to download some more from the repositories or through the software center. Linux Mint is renowned for literally being good out of the box. I mean, like Ubuntu, it comes with you're able to download the updates and the MP3 codecs and the video codecs and whatnot, so that you can watch everything and flash and whatnot if you're not using Chrome or Chromium, but or an HTML5 based browser. But it comes with everything that you need, and just like Windows or OS X, you don't need to download one thing except for updates to the system to do what you need to do, unless you're trying to do some extra activities that the average normal computer user would never do. So you literally get everything. As far as performance goes, Linux Mint, obviously requiring less resources, runs smoother. It's also known for stability. It is one of the most stable OSs, if not the most stable of the Linux distributions, and works great on pretty much all systems. Is very compatible with most hardware, is compatible with most software that's released for Linux, and comes with an awesome software updater that is regarded as by many people as the best, especially compared to Ubuntu Software Center, which works, but Linux is just flawless, and even has a smart filter that separates the stable and safe updates from the ones that aren't quite ready yet. And it just works great. However, in my opinion, the design lacks when compared to Ubuntu's Unity and all that, because I mean, this is sort of closer to a Windows XP design, while Unity is actually reaching that 2015, 2014 look, that new just futuristic type of but yet simplistic design. But still, it's just your preference. As far as under the hood goes, just like Ubuntu, GTK, or sorry, not GTK, you get not GTK, but you get Linux. You get Linux 3.16 and the most updated kernels, also upgradable, and you're getting pretty much the same software that you would get the same internal programs and software that you would get with Ubuntu. So that's pretty much Linux Mint. Also customization. While Ubuntu is customizable, it requires a lot more tweaking and commands to be ran. Linux Mint is very, very customizable right off the bat, and is literally, you can change the size, design, color of everything without even having to download extra software. It's all in the system settings. Everything is all in the system settings, which would be right here under preferences, and well, preferences or your main system settings. And you'll see where you have themes, where you have all of your options for everything, hot corners, everything, backgrounds, your effects, fonts, all of that already built in. So you don't even need to download a tweak utility, which is a tool for Linux users to actually edit their environments. So that was Linux Mint.